All right. So, yes. All right. So we're doing inequalities today. So that's right, inequalities. So we're not going to work how to solve it. We're just going to work on drawing it. Okay, we're just going to work on drawing it. And what I mean by inequalities is that these are inequalities. That's an E. That means they're not equal. Okay. Inequalities refers to things that are not equal. And we refer to these symbols, as you've seen them before, as these little semi-arrow things. Okay, and we'll describe which one is which, and many of you guys probably know how to see this already. Sometimes your teachers are taught this is like a crocodile with teeth, right? So on and so forth. But the whole use of this is that in the real world, things are never equal. Okay, we never use equal statements. Like you never tell your parents, give me exactly $10. You say, Mom, can I have more than $10? I'm going to the movies. Can I get more than? But again, you never say, give me exactly this. Like if you ever go on a roller coaster ride at Knott's or Six Flags or Disneyland, there's always a poster, and the poster shows like a body, a kid, and there's a little marking here, and they say, you have to be taller, you have to be greater than this height to ride this ride. They never say you have to be equal to this height. It's always either greater than or less than. For the kiddie rides, they say you have to be under a certain height. It'd be less than a certain height. When you guys eventually are gonna go to college and afterwards you're gonna date, hopefully after college, and you'll meet someone and you meet someone nice, and you're gonna eventually have to ask him how much he makes. And in your brain, you have a number of how much you're kind of cool with. Mr. Ko, love isn't about money. No, what? You're right, but it is nice. But you have a number in your head. This guy has to make over $100,000. You never think he has to make less than 20,000. Yeah, I'm looking for a guy who makes less than 20,000 a year. Some of you guys are thinking about heights. Like when you say, I want the girl to be taller than me, or I want the girl to be shorter than me. I want the guy to be taller than me. I want the guy to be shorter than me. Mr. Ko, I don't care about height. And then your friends make fun of you and you're like a little upset. Okay, so the big deal in the real world, life is actually run in the real world by inequalities. It's never an equal sign. So let's talk about and describe this. Before, when it came to equals, we could say x is equal to 3. Whoops, that's an ugly 3. That means x will always be on the number line, drawing the number line. This is my wonderful number line here. And look how much work I put into it. 3. X can be only 3. Put a dot, we're done. Okay? Put a dot, we're done. But in the real world, we actually see things in this way. X is greater than 3. And we graph this out with 3. Whoops. With 3 here. But we're going to draw an arrow to the right. And what happens is this arrow says not only 3 is kind of an answer. Look here. I'm going to say this is x is greater than 3. We're going to put a hole here because we don't want just 3. We actually don't want 3. We want numbers that are bigger than 3. So let's give ourselves some possibilities. Is 4 greater than 3? Is 5 greater than 3? Is 6 greater than 3? Yes, all these numbers for x would be totally awesome. 4 is an answer. 5 is an answer. 6 is an answer. Is 3.1 greater than 3? Yes, it is greater than 3. Is 3.5 greater than 3? Yes, all these values here are greater than 3. But here is the tricky question. Is 3 greater than 3? And the answer is no. 3 is not greater than 3. 3 is equal to 3. Now imagine if you're really picky, you can tell your mom, Mom, I need more than $10 this weekend. I'm going to the movies. Mom, I need more than $10. And if she gives you exactly $10, 10 is not more than 10. 10 is equal to 10. So when you say more than, that means you mean greater than. You mean not exactly. We have a term for equals, and that's actually this symbol here. If I wrote x is greater than or equal to, this is x is greater than or equal to. And what happens is we put a little line underneath it to denote that this be greater or equal. That's right. If your parents say, here is $10.01, they have given you more than $10. Very sly of your parents. Now we have two different types of symbols here. We have one with a line and one with a line. And the big difference again is one is it cannot be equal. It has to be greater than, strictly greater than. And the other one is equal. Now, why didn't they write a symbol like this? They just thought it'd be easier to write that. Now, where does this inequality sign come from? So I'm gonna draw a line here. I'll show you something kind of interesting. So where does the inequality symbol come from? So if you guys can see this little equal, so think of my ruler. Think of this as my equal sign, right? That's like equal sign. And then what they did is they just bent it over. Now, this is like a greater than symbol. If I bend it the other way, this is now a less than symbol. So the idea of an inequality, it says, hey, it might have started off as equal, but if I go in either direction, it is now an inequality. It is no longer equal. It is a broken equal sign. So inequalities they look like broken equal signs. So we could have started here, and then we broke. We either went one way or the other. And these symbols here are not equal. Okay. Now I could go this way and give myself a greater than or equal to, and these guys are equal, yes. But they're supported. Okay, so let's give ourselves, I'm gonna draw all the different ways that we're gonna look at these, are 4 different ways of looking at inequalities. So first let's start off with the easy one, this symbol here. This is what we call greater than. And we read from left to right in English, so this is A and B. So you can see it as A is greater than B, reading from left to right. Here is a visual idea why we also look at it this way. Isn't the A side the bigger side? And the B side is the little tiny side here. So A is bigger than B by a lot. Well, not necessarily. It has to be bigger by any measurable amount. Let's look at the next symbol, going the other way. Oops. A is less than B. So this is called the less than. And we can say A here is less than B. Now, I want you guys to cue in on the visual cues here. A is on the little tiny side here, while B is on the larger side. It's like it visually makes sense. Now, I want to spin this around. If I write an example, let's go back to the first one here. And I wrote, is 5 greater than 3? This is a true statement. This is a true statement. If I go backwards, I could also say, so let's say this. 5 is greater than 3. That's going this way. But you could read from right to left, and that's also okay. So if I go from right to left, isn't 3 smaller, less than 5? So my point is, you can actually read this in either direction. Just make sure you choose the right word depending on which way you're going. Like if I'm going this way, I'm going from left to right. but then I'm going from this way, I go right to left. I'm going this way, left to right to left, and words make a difference. So we have to choose the right word. So 3 is less than 5, reading from right to left, and 5 is greater than 3. And the big takeaway, please, make sure this works in your brain now, that the larger side, see this larger side? That's the bigger side. So the left side is bigger than the right side. 5 is greater than 3. But I could swap it and start from the right side, and 3 is smaller than 5. 3 is less than 5. So let's go through our next two ones. And this is drawn as A is greater than or equal to B. So greater than or equal to. So the idea of an or is that it could be one or the other. Would you like chocolate or white milk? Chocolate or white milk? If you ever go to a restaurant, the waitress will ask you for options. Maybe you go to Denny's and they'll ask you this question, and I always get it wrong. I always get this question wrong. And the waitress will always ask, would you like bacon or sausage? And I say, yes. And then she looks at you because she's irritated by this because she asks like 50,000 people a day this question and they always say yes. The question is, do you want bacon or sausage? I didn't say both. So or is meaning either or. So either we can be greater than or we can be equal to. You cannot be greater than and equal to. You can't be taller than me and the same size as me. Okay? You can only be one or the other. So this is A and B. This is greater than or equal to B. And the next one is A less than or equal to B. Less than or equal to. Now again, please don't mix this up. This is one statement that allows me to say it could be either. And your parents might say this to you, right? Do you want ice cream or chocolate? And you say yes. That's not the question. I want fries too. All right. All right, so now each of these are drawn slightly differently, okay? Now, let's go ahead and look at the different ways these are represented on a graph, and then we'll see what your IXL skill is today. It's actually quite simple. Just really drawing these out. And then writing it. Okay, so let's come up with some examples here today. And we're gonna say 3x is greater than 2. X is greater than or equal to 2. Let's look at the difference. One is greater than, and one is greater than or equal to. So I'm gonna draw my line graph. This is what we call a one-dimensional line graph. Only goes left to right. You can go front to back, that's it. Okay, folks, in the chat, having fun. Let's move on. I like your mom. Okay, whoops. So if we write this as 0, please write 0 on both sides. And then label, where would x be 2? Okay, that's where 2 is. Now we make a decision. Do we use a hollow or a solid circle? A hollow or a solid circle. And in math, this is the idea of don't touch. Or the fancy word is included or not included. This is not included. Not included. And this is included. Are batteries included? Batteries are not included. So touch. So when I say x is greater than 2, x is greater than, am I allowed to include 2? If I say x is greater than, am I allowed to include 2? No, because you have to be bigger. So this is what you do. You draw an arrow to the right. But math people didn't want to leave it blank. So you see how there's a little space there that I included? Oh, don't touch 2. Don't touch 2. So to make this more easy to see for people, they draw it as a hollow mark on 2. So from 2 onward, but don't include 2. It's not included. Over here on the right, we're going to use a solid circle so everyone sees 2 is a point that is included. And we are greater than 2. Okay? That's it. That's really it. Let's do one more. Let's say x is less than -2. And over here, x is less than +2, but with an equal sign. Okay, so we're going to draw 2 graphs here, looking at 2 different, yet similar looking problems. Graph 0, graph 0. Now where is -2? That's on the left side of the graph. +2 is on the right side of the graph. So my first option here, would I choose a hollow or solid circle? So in the participants, please, if you think this is hollow, click yes. And if you think this is solid, click no. In the participant window, please do that right now for me. Would I use a hollow or solid to graph this? So this is less than. Okay, about half of you guys, maybe a third of you guys are pretty sure about this. Let me clear that. So ask yourself, is this less than or equal to or just less than? That means if it's just less than, you're not allowed to be on -2. You're not allowed to be here. You leave it hollow. So get close to it, but do not touch. So look at what I did. I drew a hollow circle. So everyone is totally clear that this is getting really close to -2, but you're not going to include it. On the right side here, as x is less than +2, I want you guys to right now in the participants window, would I, for the right graph here, would this be a hollow or solid? So please click yes or no. Would this be hollow or solid if it's included, less than or equal to? Thank you very much. I'm going to clear that. So if you look here, if you see a little equal sign here, it means yes, we are less than or equals. That means we could be on 2. You can stand right on the line. In the real world application to this, you know what? We have special rules for everything. If you guys ever played basketball and you learned the rules for basketball, let me ask you this question. If I step on the line with the ball, am I in or out? In basketball, if you step on the line, you are in. No, you are out. In basketball, you can't step on the line when you have the ball. Okay, you went out of bounds. But the rules are different in soccer. If you play soccer and you are dribbling the ball is in your possession, and you step on the line, you are actually still in. So we have to learn the rules for each of these games. In this game, if I don't have an equal sign on my left-hand side here, if I know equal sign, that means we draw a hollow because we are not including 2. We're not standing on 2. On the right side, if we have an equal sign, the rules are, yes, you are including 2 because it is equal to. Now, I want you guys, if you guys get confused by this, what numbers are less than 2? In the chat, quickly type in what numbers are less than 2. Any number you want. Everyone just type one number. Give me a number that's less than 2. 1. See that? 1. Good. That's 1. -1. Good. Thank you. -2. -200,000. That's way over -1,000,000. Yeah. Go to -infinity. That's right. Thank you. Wow. 1.9. Good job. So 1.9 is really close to 2. But did anyone actually write 2? Because 2 is less than or equal to 2. Thank you for that amazingly large number. And guess what? I graphed it by drawing an arrow. The arrow counts for everyone else. This line says all the points are true statements. 1.99, thank you. Turns out 2 is 2 less than or equal to 2? Yes, it is. That's why it's a solid circle, because we can include 2. But is -2 less than -2? This is not true. So we do not include it. So here in iExcel, this is how we use these activities. So plot the endpoint. So first thing you're gonna do is just gonna put a dot at 2. It automatically puts a dot there. But if you tap it over and over again, it'll change it from a hollow to a solid, a hollow to a solid. Now for this problem, x is greater than -2. Are we allowed to use which one, solid or hollow? Well, we're not allowed to be on -2. This is strictly greater than -2. So we use a hollow circle. Now, which way do we go? X is greater than -2. Whoops. No, that's right. X is greater. That means numbers on the right side are bigger. So you're going to click. Watch here. Everyone watch. I'm going to click. I'm going to click the arrow. And it's going to make an arrow for me. Submit. Try it again. We're going to be at -2 here. I see an equal sign, so it's going to be solid, and x is greater than -2. That's to the right. Arrow's going to automatically be drawn for me. -6, solid or hollow, it's equal, so it's going to remain solid. Now when x is less than, okay, less than means smaller. Smaller is on the left side. Okay, so hopefully that is not too difficult. Let's jump to a couple other ones. See anything a little harder than this? Okay, 800. All right. So we're going to graph 800 first. Here's 800. Now solid or hollow? This is going to be solid. And that's going to be solid. And we said less than, throw it to the left. Because we're less than 800. So this is on iExcel, and this is in your homework, and this is going to be in the recommended section. Okay. So given the graph, you are going to write the inequality. And these are the examples that they give us right here. X is inequality to the number. Okay. So the letter X, I'll write X here. X is greater than or less than. If you look at the blue, we're going to the right. So that's going to be greater than. But look at the value on 3. Is that hollow or solid? Since it's solid, that means you have to be equal to. So greater than or equal to, we'll write the number 3. -9, so we write -9. That's where the dot is. It is solid, so we're going to use a equal sign. But going to the left, oops, let's go X first. X is less than -9 because we're going to the left. Now I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to write -3 first. Is -3 bigger or less than all your possibilities? If I start with -3, -3 is right here. And then isn't that bigger than all my answers? -3 is actually bigger than all the values x. But if you write this, it will be wrong because it's not in the order that they asked us to write it in. Okay, it's not in the order. If I write it, let's see, it's probably gonna be wrong, but it's not in the right order. Oh, it actually gave it to right. Oh, lucky me, never mind. All right, sure, great. It does accept it. So that's the second assignment today.